how to show respect. Thank you for letting me into your house.
Welcome, horror fans, to yet another marvelous video. In today's video, we have a treat for you. With some tricks to make you jump out of fear or just a slight fright, we have some of the scariest animated horror shows that have graced the silver screen. So get your popcorn ready and welcome to Marvelous Video's Top 15 Scariest Animated Horror TV Shows. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Oh, not it!
Oh, come on now.
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, starting the list off with one of the most iconic cartoon shows that Cartoon Network has created. We are all familiar with Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, and Dexter's Laboratory, but The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy holds a special place in my heart. The adventures of Mandy, a cold-blooded, cynical girl, Billy, a dumb and carefree youngster, and Grim, a reaper with a Jamaican accent, are the main focus of the story. Billy and Mandy cheat at a limbo contest against Grim as payback for setting the limbo pole too low for them to go under, which results in Grim being enslaved and an undesired friendship with the children for life. During the first few days of his captivity, Grim is sad and has repeated fantasies of killing them, but with time, he gradually gets used to the new existence and even begins to feel some sort of affection for Billy and Mandy. He still has a love-hate relationship with the two despite this, and he hopes to one day escape his service. Billy's father, Harold, who also is stupid like his son, well, he had to get it from somewhere. Erwin, his geeky best friend who has a thing for Mandy, Billy's devoted but mentally unstable mother, Gladys, Mindy, the spoiled, conceited, and snobbish head of Billy and Mandy's school, Spurg, the neighborhood bully with a soft side, Hoss Delgado, a spectral exterminator who pursues paranormal things and is extremely intense, are a couple of supporting characters. Other characters include Nurgle, a friendship-seeking demon who later marries Billy's aunt and has a son, Nurgle Jr., General Scar, Billy's ill-tempered next-door neighbor who first appeared in the Evil Con Carne animated series, and Jeff, a giant spider. Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Next up on the list, we have a show with an assassin who comes back from hell to get revenge. A familiar trope for all of us, is it not? Todd McFarlane's Spawn centers on the life of ex-Marine Force Recon Lieutenant Colonel Al Simmons, a secret Black Ops government assassin. He was deceived and murdered by someone he thought was a close friend during a mission. The man, who would later be identified as Chapel, used a flamethrower to burn him alive. After he passed away, Simmons swore retribution on the guy who killed him and was hopeful that he would eventually find his beloved wife Wanda again. Simmons' soul is consigned to hell as a result of his existence as an assassin. He strikes a deal with the devil Malbolgia, the overlord of the 8th realm of hell, in order to fulfill his commitment. The agreement was straightforward. Simmons would get the right to walk the earth once more and see Wanda in exchange for joining Malbolgia's army as a Hellspawn or Spawn. But Simmons was duped by Malbolgia. 5 years after his death, he came back to Earth without having his corpse returned to him. He was given another body, a walking corpse with a large living red cloak attached that was festering and smelling strongly of cadavers and maggots. Simmons' face was so severely deformed and scarcely resembled a person, since his current body was rotting for a while, along with being in a very advanced stage of decomposition. To hide its hideous appearance, Simmons wore a mask. When Spawn returns to life, he goes looking for Wanda. It seems that Wanda moved on from her loss of Al and wed Terry Fitzgerald, who was the best friend of Al and had a kid named Cyan. Terry, a kind man, works as an analyst for Jason Wynn, who among other things was a covert arms dealer on the black market and a CIA power broker. It is revealed that Wynn killed Al Simmons as a result of a disagreement the two had about how to carry out their work. Jason's activities would put Wanda, Terry, and their daughter at risk. Al makes a vow to defend Wanda and her new family after realizing he's not a part of her life anymore. In the series, Spawn is shown spending his time in the shadowy passageways and slaying everyone who dares to enter his new area. Malbosia sends another one of his minions to get Spawn to carry out violent and terrible deeds in the service of hell, rejecting these activities as unworthy of Spawn's time and power. In addition to fighting the allure of evil, Spawn is also attempting to flee from being pursued by attackers from heaven. These attackers aim to destroy Hellspawns, weaken the forces of hell, and prevent them from gaining the upper hand in the growing conflict between the two spiritual hosts. The distinction between the forces of good and evil becomes more hazy as the conflict heats up. Spawn receives help from a number of people on the way, including a messy old man called Cagliostro, who, although previously a Hellspawn, has vanquished the evil forces that lurked within. This is definitely reminding me of Ghost Rider. That scene with the ghost horse and Nick Cage riding along on his motorcycle was the best. Towards the end of the show, Spawn gains the ability to shapeshift and impregnate Wanda by making love to her while posing as Terry. Later we find out that a prophecy states that a Hellspawn's offspring will determine whether Armageddon occurs, which may be the true reason Spawn was permitted to come back to Earth. Such a plot twist, huh? It's really giving off Hellboy vibes.
Oh! Hey, I better stop that. I can begin to like it.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Look at what we have here. Another iconic Cartoon Network show. Courage the Cowardly Dog was an absolute delight of a show that brought in so many horrifying characters that were oftentimes I was too scared to go to sleep, thinking that there was a monster in the dark or under my bed. But thankfully, there were not any monsters, or so my mom told me. I am still not exactly sure of it. Well, the plot of Courage the Cowardly Dog centers on Courage, a timid dog who lives in a farmhouse with Muriel and Eustace Baggy close to the fictitious town of Nowhere, Kansas. Courage is a dog who gets scared easily. After being abandoned as a puppy, Courage was taken in by the kind-hearted Scottish woman Muriel Baggy and her husband Eustace, a stingy farmer who likes to scare the dog with the Ooga Booga mask. In order to save his owners, Courage must constantly fight off threats from monsters, aliens, devils, crazy scientists, zombies, and other dangers that he, Muriel, and Eustace encounter. Some of the creatures the three encounter are sweet or just in distress, despite the fact that the majority of them are scary or unsettling. Love, Death, and Robots. Netflix definitely brought out an absolute thriller of an anthology series. The animated series Love, Death, and Robots consists of several short films, each with a different cast and crew, but there is some crew overlap in certain episodes. The series title references the conceptual relationship between each episode and one or more of the three titular issues. Apart from the topics and genres, there are no narrative ties among the shorts, save for 3 Robots Exit Strategies in Season 3, which is a follow-up to 3 Robots in Season 1. The show is a reimagining of Fincher and Miller's prolonged relaunch of the 1981 animated science fiction picture Heavy Metal. The initial concept was to keep the film's feature length, but this new format would be more appropriate for today's audiences. Individual episodes cover a variety of genres, especially comedy, horror, science fiction, and fantasy, and are created by several animation studios from many nations. All 3 of the titular concepts are related to at least one of the episodes. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Another one of my all-time favorite characters has popped up on the list. Living in the small town of Crystal Cove, which refers to itself as the most haunted place on Earth, is a group of teenage mystery solvers that include Fred Jones, Daphne Blake, Velma Dinkley, Shaggy Rogers, and Scooby-Doo. The town's extensive history of unexplained disappearances, ghost sightings, and monster sightings is the backbone of its booming tourism economy, all of which are allegedly cursed. The adults in the place, particularly Mayor Fred Jones Sr. and Sheriff Bronson Stone are not pleased that the children are disproving all the supernatural goings-on that generate as much cash as the elaborate plots of criminal charlatans. Apart from their routine investigations, the team is also being pushed to reveal a sinister secret that has been concealed throughout Crystal Cove's history. After receiving cryptic clues from a faceless mystery man known only as Mr. E, which could be a play on the word mystery, get it? The group learns the legend of a cursed conquistador treasure, the history of the founding Darrow family of Crystal Cove, and the mysterious disappearance of 4 mystery-solving youngsters and their pet bird, who are the original Mystery Incorporated. Mystery Incorporated, while it frequently alludes to earlier iterations of the show, takes us back to Scooby and the gang's early days when they were still investigating mysteries in their hometown. The show adopts a lighthearted approach to the beloved Scooby-Doo pattern, with each villain's plot involving ever more absurd technologies, abilities, and situations. It also gives a unique twist on the well-known meddling kids remark at the conclusion of each episode, a serial format with an extended story arc that features many dark plot aspects treated with near total seriousness, and continuing character relationship drama stand in stark contrast to this. These components have never been employed in a Scooby-Doo series before. In addition, since the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, this is the first series to use actual ghosts and monsters rather than villains masquerading as ghosts and monsters. The show honors the horror genre by referencing a wide range of media in a humorous and serious manner. These include modern horror films like Saw, classic monster horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street, and television series like Twin Peaks. Well, the ghosts and villains on the show were actually terrifying. Now I know why. Castlevania. Netflix is acing the animated series section. Castlevania is yet another animated horror action-adventure series that is available on Netflix globally. It is based partly on the video game series of the same name and is set in a dark fantasy medieval setting. Its plot, which combines elements from Symphony of the Night and Curse of Darkness with events from Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, is mostly based on those events. The main character, Trevor Belmont, is out to stop Vlad Dracula Tepes, the terrible vampire who wants to wipe out humanity after putting his wife Lisa to death. The settings in the animated series are distinct from those in the games, as the producers have made it clear. This suggests that mythology, characterizations, and plots can differ from or mimic one another, and that things can progress in different ways. It is the first series from Frederator Studios, which is not intended for children. Well, considering the amount of horror going on in the show, I am not surprised it got such a rating. Tales from the Crypt Keeper. The live-action TV series Tales from the Crypt, which ran simultaneously on HBO, served as the blueprint for this show. Considering it was meant for younger audiences, Tales from the Crypt Keeper was far more subdued than the HBO live-action adaptation. In the series, the Crypt Keeper tells viewers additional kid-friendly horror stories, each of which has a lesson that can be learned. In the second season, The Vault Keeper and The Old Witch, two competing and fellow EC comic horror presenters, are always trying to take over the show from the Crypt Keeper because they lack one of their own, but their schemes always end in failure. While he attempts to avoid his enemies, the Crypt Keeper can be spotted in locations other than his mansion. In the third and last season, the Crypt Keeper plays a more prominent role, typically putting kids in scary circumstances where they learn terrible lessons from people with serious character defects. Beetlejuice. Every one of us must at least have heard one Beetlejuice story, the horrifying demon that terrorizes anyone who utters its name. Well, not to point out the obvious, but the main character of Beetlejuice, the animated series, is the friendly but occasionally cunning Beetlejuice, who occasionally runs across his gothic best friend Lydia. While Lydia and her family reside in the living world, Beetlejuice is a resident of the netherworld. But if she chants in her room, she can go to Beetlejuice in the netherworld. Lydia typically just needs to utter Beetlejuice's name 3 times. This is a requirement for Beetlejuice to come into the realm of humans. Before he is called upon, he can appear in the material world, typically as Lydia's image in the mirror. Lydia can also enter the netherworld with the same invocation. The longer version seen above appears to have been added simply for dramatic effect. Most of the episodes center on Beetlejuice having a plan or story in progress, frequently influenced by Lydia's experiences. When things go out of control, Lydia usually acts as Beetlejuice's helper and the voice of reason. Only a very limited number of episodes completely ignore Lydia in favor of concentrating solely on Beetlejuice's netherworld afterlife. Real Monsters. The episodes of Real Monsters shows us the exploits of Ickis, Ablina, and Crumb, who are 3 young monster buddies attending a monster school with the Gromble as the headmaster. The show is set in New York City. Although it is never mentioned in the series, it is hinted that the dump the monsters live in is Fresh Kill's landfill. Toenails are used as currency in a functional economic system within the monster community. I have heard of weird objects being used as currency, but using toenails as currency is on a whole new level of weird. No wonder this show made the list.
Now to show respect. Thank you for letting me into your house.
Constantine, City of Demons. I am a huge fan of Keanu Reeves, and in my opinion, the movie Constantine was one of his most underrated works. Our next show on the list is the American animated web series Constantine, City of Demons, which is based on the demon hunter and occult investigator John Constantine from DC Comics. It is a loose adaptation of Mike Carey and Leonardo Manco's graphic novel Hellblazer, All His Engines. The series is set in the DC animated movie universe and has a tenuous connection to the live-action series Constantine. It is also connected to the 2017 animated film Justice League Dark. Constantine has always been one of those characters in the world of DC with the darkest villains and even darker plots. Invader Zim 2001 to 2006, a show about invading aliens, strange worlds, and even stranger characters. Sounds interesting, does it not? Well, the main character of this show is Zim, who comes from the planet Urk and is a member of the extraterrestrial Urkin species. The Empire has a social order based only on physical height, and its objective is universal conquest. The Almighty Tallest is the title of the head of the Empire. In the start of the series, 2 people have similar heights. Wally Wingert and Kevin McDonald share the title. Zim is an outsider who is a megalomaniacal, narcissistic, overly enthusiastic, delusional, and extremely short. During Operation Impending's Doom 1, the Empire's first invasion, an inattentive Zim almost annihilated Urk and the Urkins. He was exiled to the Urkin food court planet Foodcourtia as punishment, but he was unaware of the purpose behind his exile. When Zim discovered that Operation Impending Doom 2 was being planned, he quits being banished and went to the Great Assigning on the planet Conventia, the convention center. The Tallest selects Urkins as invaders and the Great Assigning. These advanced scouts are entrusted with infiltrating and readying target planets for the Urkin Armada to conquer. After effectively pleading to be declared an invader, Zim is given a secret mission meant to stop opposition to the invasion. The mystery planet that is the target is outside the known universe and has not been shown to exist. Gur, an unreliable and inefficient standard-issue information retrieval device hastily assembled from spare components discovered in a trash can, is given to him. When Zim finally reaches the mystery planet after a 6-month voyage across the cosmos, he finds a grim, dystopian, and satirical Earth overrun by heedless materialism. The Tallest are shocked by Zim's success as he rushes to work back and establishes his base in any suburb. Zim, who is tiny in size, poses as a human young child and claims that his green complexion is the result of a skin condition. The program centers on his efforts to carry out espionage while he studies at a nearby school, spelled SKOOL, and plots to establish a base from which to conquer and enslave everyone on Earth. The only person, apart from his sister, who can see through Zim's disguise is his classmate Dib, a nervous youngster who is obsessed with the unexplained and paranormal. Despite the animosity and derision he faces from his unaware peers, Dib is committed to uncovering and impeding Zim. Dib's sister, Gaz, Zim, and Dib's evil instructor, Miss Bitters, and Dib and Gaz's well-known but uncaring father, Professor Membrane, are among the supporting cast members. More alien characters start to show up as the series progresses. These include Tak, an Urkin who is looking for vengeance against Zim, Sizzlor, Zim's former boss from Food Courtia, who is attempting to recapture him, and Lardnar, the head of the Resisti, a resistance organization that seeks to topple the Urkin Empire. This is definitely my kind of show. Castlevania Nocturne. Netflix is smashing it out of the park. Based on the Konami video game series of the same name, Castlevania Nocturne is a follow-up to the animated Castlevania series. It was adapted from the 1993 game Castlevania Rondo of Blood and follow-up Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The series centers on the teenage vampire hunter Richter Belmont and his adoptive sister Maria Renard as they forge new alliances and work to avert the impending rising of a godlike vampire messiah in 1792 during the French Revolution, mostly in the French village of Machecoul. The Real Ghostbusters, 1986 to 1991. If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Well, everyone must have realized what show we were going to talk about next on our list after hearing that theme song. The Real Ghostbusters is a follow-up to the 1984 comedy film Ghostbusters. The show carries on the exploits of paranormal investigators, Doctors Ray Stantz, Egon Spengler, Winston Zedmore, Janine Melnitz, their secretary, and Slimer, their mascot Ghost, while they search for and apprehend renegade spooks, specters, spirits, and ghosts in New York City and other parts of the globe. Following a disagreement with Filmation and its Ghostbusters properties, The Real was added to the title. It sure is one of the most iconic ghost series of all time. Primal. How about a show from prehistoric times that shows the terrifying world where our ancestors lived? The show, Primal, features a female Tyrannosaurus Rex named Fang and a male Neanderthal named Spear who battle every day against various carnivorous dinosaurs, ancient mammals, and other dangerous creatures, in addition to more advanced human groups that also stay in their world, like the Iron Age humans and the ancient Egyptian army. The series is set in an anachronistic and fantastical prehistoric world. Unlike Tartakovsky's earlier series with several protagonists, Primal begins with just Spear and Fang. The two of them travel through different prehistoric or mythical species, as well as distinct tribes of hominins. Despite being a work of fiction, Tartakovsky claimed that the show's modern creatures, future beasts, and prehistoric animals were all based on actual prehistoric animals, as well as some brand new ones that the project's designers had created. The show definitely had plenty of creatures to give us a fright.
Gonna wake everybody in the house.
Creepy Crawlers, 1994 to 1996. The last show on our list has Chris Carter, who refers to himself as a normal kid with an interest in magic, as the protagonist of the show. Chris created and constructed a gadget he termed the Magic Maker while he was working at the bitterly disgraced stage illusionist Professor Guggenheim's magic shop. Apparently, he wanted to use it as an unidentified magic trick. One fateful night, a one once-in-a-thousand-year planetary alignment known as the Magical Millennium Moment descended upon the shop, unleashing cosmic energies that somehow enabled the Magic Maker to create bizarre, man-sized bug, magic trick composite mutant animals. Guggengrime named the three creatures that developed that night as Goop Mandos, Hocus Locust, Volt Jolt, and T3. Despite their odd appearances, the creatures proved to be friendly and allied themselves with Chris. However, after Chris and the Goop Mandos fled the store, Guggengrime took possession of the Magic Maker. Every subsequent episode focused on Chris and the Goop Mandos' attempts to foil Guggengrime's latest plot to use a creature called Crime Grime, created by the Magic Maker to take over the world, as well as their efforts to free the Magic Maker from his evil grasp. Additional Goop Mandos were made as the series progressed. A small child by the name of Sammy Reynolds also turned into a close ally of the group. Well, the antics of the creatures were definitely interesting to watch.
I am Night Fright. Scream. Scream.
Marvelous verdict. And that marks the end of another Marvelous video. We had an absolute ball going through all the animated horror shows that give us the creeps. From the different ghosts of Ghostbusters to Beetlejuice, these scary characters have given us a real scare. As our exciting adventure through the world of the scariest animated horror TV shows draws to a close, we hope you enjoyed the thrill of witnessing these scary series. So stay tuned for more scary journeys in the horror world. Which animated horror show amongst these did you like the most? Was there anything specific about them that captured your curiosity? Let us know all about it in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. It means the world to us when you help us grow. Until next time, guys, have a good one. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.